Hey guys, Dan here with Dansmillionairecode podcast. It's been a little bit since we got a new episode out to you, but as you know, I like to bring in mega Jedi friends who have accomplished a lot of stuff and are very up and coming as well. And today's guest is pretty cool. We've known each other for a while.
Yeah.
Ryan Flint. Now this guy, let me just give you just a quick. His bio is just like his accolades are like this, but I'm going to give you a summarized version. He's a CEO of a company, serial entrepreneur, investor. He consults a lot of businesses and mentors a lot of business owners. And his claim to fame, one of the big ones is his commercial real estate career. He's done amazing stuff there. We'll let him talk about all the details, but he is one of the top commercial real estate agents that I know personally. So phenomenal, dude. What's up, dude?
Good to see you.
How's it going, man?
Thanks for having me.
All right, man. A little rusty here, but we're getting back in the saddle, doing more podcasts. I know there's one thing that we like to do. We've been on a few different trips and things together. We're both kind of these really serial entrepreneur, always looking for a way to create cool things. We have that in common. And when I remember we took a bus ride to some resort or something.
We went to the zoo that day.
Did we go to the zoo?
Yeah.
Yeah, at some trip, and we talked for the whole time just about kind of these crazy deals and things like that. So tell us a little bit about like your story from like humble beginnings to like where you are today.
Yeah, so I started in commercial real estate about 10 years ago. Prior to that, I was playing baseball, and I was in the fitness space. So I was, my focus in that space was helping professional athletes and high earner executives on their fitness and nutrition, and I focused on the baseball in particularly.
Oh, wow.
And was able to go play and help the Red Sox for a year in Boston, going back and forth.
Wow.
And that was really fun. And what that did is it opened up my mind to, really wanting to focus on the high-end, high net worth individuals, whether they were athletes or business owners. And I always loved real estate. My father-in-law is a big real estate developer. And I just watched his lifestyle over the years, and I just
Commercial real estate primarily?
Commercial. Big boxes, big shopping centers, big office buildings, mixed-use parks. I mean, he's done it all. And I love the lifestyle that he was able to live. Do what you want when you want, good income. And it seemed like fun because I'm a creative guy, and I love branding, and I love, being a visionary. And so I dove in. I was working with my dad down at the Lost and Found. He was a vendor for FedEx throughout the world.
Wow. Okay.
And he handled all their Lost and Found and Fraud Stop. And I was down there in between. I had sold a company, and I was in real estate school. And behind our building that we had in Salt Lake, we had 8 acres. My dad said, hey, why don't you take this on, go sell it. It's a commercial piece of property, industrial zoned. And I wasn't fully licensed yet. So I called one of my buddies that I had known, and I said, hey, why don't you come partner with me on this, and I'll do all the work. I just need your license, and we'll put the sign up, and you kind of give me direction on what's the best practices, and I'll learn from there. And about 2 weeks into that, he noticed my work ethic, and my ability to communicate, and I had no fear as far as calling people. I dealt with high end guys and high net worth individuals for several years, so there was no fear. And I love people, and so it was really easy. And about 2 weeks in, he was like, hey, why don't you just come work for me when you get licensed?
No, wow.
And so I became his associate. I was there for a year or so, and I just learned. I learned everything, the good way, the bad way. I didn't mesh really well with the culture there because it was very staunchy and very arrogant and all about me. But what I did learn was everything that I didn't want to be. I wanted to be or emulate something that wasn't there in my face. So it was a really good learning opportunity for me. We ended up selling the land to Peterbilt, and I realized, oh wow, these fees are a lot better than selling a house. You got to sell lots of houses to get one good commercial fee.
Right.
And so for years, I've been doing it, over a decade. So for years, I had to do the little small deals.
Yeah.
The little 1,200 square foot deals, and sometimes it was 10 of those a week or more. And those are like selling a little townhouse, where it's a couple $100,000 in total value. You're getting 3 or 6%. I mean, you're making a couple $100,
Yeah.
you know, and so you really got to create the volume. But during that time, I was thinking, okay, while I've got to maintain the volume to pay the bills, I gotta create something that's not there in the commercial space. It's an old school thing. There's not very good marketing. There's not very good branding. It's pretty staunchy because the guys in the commercial real estate space are usually a little bit older, you know, more old school.
Yeah.
And I wanted to create a vibe that was fun. I wanted to create a brand that was different, and I wanted to create a team that was based around customer service and culture and fun, and making it a feeling so that when I met with people, they never felt like I was there to sell them. They felt like I was just there to be their friend and be their you know, advisor. Whether we did a deal or not, I wanted to be super transparent and say, hey, whether we do a deal or not, we're going to be really good friends. Because at the end of the day, we all go shopping with our friends.
That's right.
We're the most vulnerable when we're shopping with our friends.
That's right.
Rather than some stranger. So I wanted to create that environment with people and that relationship.
The majority, it's funny, talking to a lot of just other business owners that are my friends too, is the majority of people in commercial real estate, most agents, are just completely lazy.
Yeah.
Like you can't get them to call you back.
Yeah.
And you're hunting, you're chasing, like almost doing the work just to get someone paid a commission. And my personal experience with you helping us before we were looking for another little spot, you know, is you're super proactive and just, hey, no pressure, but take a look at this. You might like this. You might like this. And that, I think that's important to keep that in touch. And even though the market is what it is now, you know, and some of us are waiting a little bit for bargains, right? We think rates might go up a little bit more, right? You've been real patient and a good friend, and we've hung out a lot and, you know, and done stuff. And I can't say that, I mean, I have a few commercial real estate people that are my friends like that. And it's interesting because people have different ecosystems and people bring you different types of deals. Yeah. You know, and it's weird. You'd think that you'd get the similar people bringing you similar deals, but there seems to be a interesting variety of that.
Yeah, there's really no like middle of the road guy. There's either the really good or the not so good. Yeah. In my space. That's true. You know, and what's nice is in our space, you know, I've done deals multi-market across the country with our friends, multiple of our friends, where it's, you know, Houston or Phoenix or, you know, Colorado, Florida, Louisiana, and it's the transparency. You know, with you can tell me exactly what you need, what you're looking for. Hey, I'm not in a hurry, but if this, you know, margin comes up or this deal and this, here's my requirements. I know it's far-fetched, but hey, if it comes up, you know that I'm on speed dial, right? And it's like, okay, well, I have that on my ticker. I'm obviously in the game all day, every day, where you're not. Yes. And you don't want to come to me saying, hey, where's there's deals? Yeah. Right? You're on our radar every single day on trackers, so that when that particular property hits or that opportunity hits, I've already got it tracked in the back end system that says, oh, this is a property for Dan Young. Why don't you reach out for him? And no obligation, right? Yeah. I go shopping with my friends, and what's nice about you that I'll speak highly about you is you've been super loyal to me. And so it's easy for me to go out and hunt without feeling like there's any pressure or, oh, I've got to do this, or he's going to reach out and be like, hey, you're lazy. I never want to be that person.
Well, the one thing I have done, because, you know, for residential, I have certain agents I work with. Sure. And on different types of commercial, I have different people that I work with. The most important thing for me is I think I learned this from just having big sales teams, is I make sure who brings me the deal gets paid really well. Right. Like, even a little extra. I mean, and that's good because in my mind, I like to be, whether it's my CPA, my banker, all that, like on the top 5 client list, right? Maybe the number 1, you know, because when it's always easy. It seems like when things are easy, right? Then that's when, you know, everyone's like, oh, this is so easy. But when times get choppy, when you need more money to fund deals and make things happen, those relationships. Yeah. It's weird, like even on a banking level, a recent meeting with my current bankers, they were so extra flexible because we were friends. Yeah. And I'm like, I can't believe it. So I had one banker, interesting enough, the building you're sitting in was at a certain interest rate. And he calls me and he goes, hey, there's some DocuSigns or whatnot landing in your inbox. They're exactly the same as your original note, pretty much, except you're going to pay 1.5% less interest. Wow. And he goes, we don't need to do a reappraisal. And it's just a little gift for you, man. And this came back during the COVID time, right? Yeah. And I'm like, okay. So I had my legal look at it, document, and it just dropped my, like, what kind of banker does that?
Not very many.
You know, and after that, I'm like, dude, like I'm gonna send all my friends to you, so
Yeah.
send all my friends to me. You know?
Well, and that you hit it right on the head. Is provide so much value that it becomes easy. You know, it becomes autopilot. It becomes, in a way, is, you know, my biggest desire as a servicer in the business is loyalty and trust and word of mouth. A lot of our business comes from you telling one of our other friends, hey, he's the real deal. I know you're friends with him, but I had an experience. You need to use him. Or somebody's reaching out and you're in small talk and it's, hey, I'm looking for a building. Hey, I've got a guy.
Yeah.
Right? And you and I have already set those expectations already, rather than you calling me saying, hey, I need you to do this and this and this. You and I already have that expectation set. And it's the same thing when I give a referral. If I give Dan Young a referral on a contractor, listen, that contractor and I already have expectations. This guy is very important to me. And you need to treat him as if you're treating me. Right? And just because he may be wealthy or have money, it doesn't mean that you can't treat him any differently than you treat me. And I think a lot of times in relationships and networking and giving referrals out, people don't set that expectation up front. It's, oh, a lot of people think, well, I may know a guy. Well, you know, you hear it all the time is, oh yeah, I know him, but do you really know him? Does he know you? Yeah. If you set those expectations, and you know, my greatest probably marketing tool is my people, my tribe, my friends. If I'm in really big hurt or I've just got to run an idea by you, I have no problem calling you at 12 o'clock at night saying, hey, this is what I'm going through. I just want to get your perspective on this. Yeah. You know, you'll shoot me straight. There's not a, hey, you owe me one. It's been really nice. And I've seen vendors of mine or connections with mine level up from the way that they treat people, even if that's how they weren't before. But they have a whole new respect for me because I've already set that expectation, and they're thinking in their mind, does he do this with other people when he's sending them to me? That, hey, you better treat this contractor with a lot of respect. Oh yeah, he's my guy. And the reality of it is that's when the connections become like inseparable. Yeah, it's the biggest thing in my business.
You're a pretty young guy. How old are you now?
37 this month.
You're just getting started, dude. Did you guys know that males reach mental maturity at 42?
Well,
and the highest income for males is 45 to like 65. That's the highest income zone. Maybe because you've had some more investments entrenched
for sure
and things. Women mature a lot faster.
Yeah.
Mentally, they really mature a lot faster and tend to get more grounded and centered. Whereas dudes usually are ego and rage kind of focused until like early 40s.
Yeah.
Right. Well, but you know, you seem like you've got a good grasp on it in your 30s, which is amazing.
Yeah, I've had amazing people in my life that have taught me well. My dad was a mega entrepreneur. You know, I saw
you guys
him.
Buds?
Yeah, we're buds, and I saw firsthand how he treated people, the way that he ran his business as a CEO. Yeah. You know, and he had so many employees. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of employees in multiple locations across the.
I got to add, my ADD is kicking. I got to ask you this: which the biggest ass kicking you've ever taken, and how'd you deal with it? And this is important because a lot of people right now are taking some beatings because of the economic flux, right? And so maybe you could tell us about that experience, what you learned from it, maybe teach everybody out there.
Yeah, you know, honestly, I can think of several. I can
Big
think
one.
Of, I can think of several times that I've gotten my butt handed to me. Yeah. And a lot of times is because earlier in my years, I was skipping steps because I just didn't know. I didn't have a mentor really in the business. Oh. And it made me reflect over the years on, hey, I want to be that mentor that I didn't have to these young kids. A lot of these older brokers, these seasoned brokers, or just business professionals in general overlook, and they see these young kids and they're like, oh, I don't even want to waste my time. Well, the greatest gift that I can give or offer is to be a good mentor and example to others. Mm-hmm. And when I see somebody not, you know, or cutting corners, which I did because I just didn't know, it wasn't consequential in a way that we lost money or I got sued or anything like that. But what happened was we basically had to start back over. And it was because I cut a corner, I didn't know, I wasn't educated, and then I just got my butt handed to me. And what I realized was in that moment, I had one choice to make, or I guess I had two choices to make. I can either A, take this as a crybaby, feel sorry for myself, and get defensive and fight back. Or B, I can take this as positive criticism that this guy cares enough about me and about this transaction that he's going to coach me through it. Because what happened is when he saw that I was actually open to the criticism, even though he just wanted to like get on me, I told him, thank you. Thank you for educating me on this. You know, tell me different things that in which you would have done better. If this was you and your circumstance at this point, being 20 years in the business, I'm 1 year in the business, tell me the way or process that you would go about this. Who do I need to connect to? Who do I need to step up and say sorry to? Or who do I need to make it right with? And he kind of sat back and was like, I've never been approached that way. It's always like head between my legs. I'm going to go cry about it, and then this deal probably falls apart. Well, what I did is I just said, hey, the best thing I can do is be a really good communicator. So I go to the client, I go sit down with him in person. I tell him, hey, I messed up. I take full accountability. But you know what? It's not too big of a mess that we can't fix it. It's just that I wasn't educated in the process enough that I skipped a step. So we're going to take a step back or 2 steps back, and I'm going to do everything I can to make it right, but I want to make sure that we're in alignment. We might not agree on everything, but we can be 100% in alignment in everything we do.
Yeah.
And so that was a big word for me throughout my career was, look, just be in alignment, be in alignment. And as I got better at commercial real estate and at communicating and negotiating and leading and talking and all that kind of stuff, that's what I preach is be in alignment with your teams, be in alignment with your culture. Because again, like there's going to be 9 times out of 10 deals that there's back and forth or there's bickering, but you can be in alignment, right? And it's what you do at home with your kids or your wife or your spouse or your partner or whatever it is, and then you take it into the office and you become in alignment with your team. When we were walking through this building before, they all love and respect you because of the alignment and the empowerment that you've given them. It's very easy to tell because, you know, and that's that we don't really do disciplinary actions in our business anymore. We do cultural alignment meetings.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, I mean, I don't know if you remember Jason Harward talking about when they made a huge mistake. One of his employees made a huge mistake in their 3PL business, and instead of firing him and losing, I think they lost a couple $100,000 on a deal or something. He sat him down and he said, "Hey, I'm so glad that you made that mistake, right?" He even made a cake for him, if you remember him talking about it. They made a cake for him and brought it in and basically made him feel like he was a part of the team and that he's not the only one in the world that has made this type of mistake. But because they're like, look, that we're going to talk about that mistake, we're going to get on the same page, I'm going to teach you and educate you on how we don't make that mistake again, and I'm going to set up the systems and processes in place that will never be done again. Well, think about what it costs. The cost to go acquire a new employee, train them at a level of supervision or manager or whatever it was that Jason was dealing with, that's way more than $200,000. And if that mistake's made again, that's another $200,000 or $300,000. Well, do you think that employer, that manager is ever going to make that mistake again? Yeah. No way.
As long, and I take that with one rule is they have to have integrity. Exactly. So if they commit a dishonest, willful mistake, in my book, that's
a different story.
Because you've seen that, Yeah. But if it's just like absent-mindedness, spaced it out, domestic issues, and wasn't focused, and then that's where the alignment, Because I've seen, as of recently, I had to deal with some employees that did things just, really dishonest, and I mean it's like black and white, Yeah. That's a hard one. That hurts, especially when they're a good performer.
Yeah.
But when that, those ethics aren't in alignment, it's hard to work. Kind of like that first office, you remember you worked at? It wasn't like you guys weren't vibing, right? Because you were your ethics were like this, theirs were like in another planet. Hard to work with those people.
Yeah, and it was saying one thing but doing another. And that's where I have a hard time with. I would rather just sit down and say, hey, you have an opportunity to be honest with me, and having compassion for people. But I'm with you. When the honesty and integrity aren't there, I'm okay if somebody says, hey, look, I messed up. I take ownership with it. Yeah. I'm going to help you work through it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because you work for me, my name's on the building.
Right.
But if it's a straight out lie, then yeah, you're right. It's a different story.
It's a tough one, huh?
Yeah. So if I can give anybody some encouragement, or people listening, is don't go there. Yeah. Don't go there. It's okay to have mistakes, but make sure that you're the one coming to your supervisor, your boss, or whatever with that mistake.
My ADD is hitting me again about this. I just analyzed all of our interactions through the years, and you're in a certain club in my mind. As you know, I'm friends with a lot of other influencer business owners,
for sure,
like that. And one thing maybe you've noticed, though, there's guys that like are substantially real, and girls that are substantially real, and there's some that are facade, almost like the Eiffel Tower in Vegas versus the real Eiffel Tower.
For sure.
Being, a lot of times you see front facing, but inner workings aren't, and framework isn't there. You know, you've seen it, right?
I totally get it.
And you see people like pop onto the map and pop off the map, and they look like a rock star, and then they're not, and they're flash dancing, like Bobby Castro would say, right? They're flash dancing, and then they're disappearing. And you're one of those guys, though, that really focuses on the fundamental meat and bones of reality. And I want to tell you, like, in my Rolodex here, I could maybe count it on, 3 hands or something.
Sure. The
kind of people that operate like that. You don't see a lot of that.
No, you don't.
And it doesn't mean, I don't think it doesn't mean, though, just because someone's more facade does substantial, that they're a bad person. It's just, the ones that have the real, like, it goes all the way through them viscerally.
Yes.
Versus just front face.
Yeah, and what it has to do with is people's own security of themselves. You hear it a lot, especially since the whole COVID thing, where there's been a lot of mental illness and people fighting that. Is you hear, oh, you got to love yourself before you love others. Well, honestly, you got to be able to have enough respect for yourself and confidence. And people use the word, oh, you're humble. Well, humble to me is just, I'm really confident in myself. And I'm confident in myself enough to say, hey, I messed up. I know that if I say that, it's okay. But if somebody comes to me and says, hey, you knocked it out of the park, I express gratitude rather than the shy, like, oh, you're so nice. That's where people hide back in their shell. Rather than accepting it, acknowledging it, and saying, thank you.
I got to do that more, man.
I know that I worked my butt off.
I'm taking notes on that.
Yeah, I worked my butt off.
What's the less accept the...
Acknowledge those positive affirmations that people give to you. If they come up to you and say, Dan, thank you so much. Like, you knocked it out of the park on this computer.
Yeah.
Right? It has changed my life. It saved my business. Our returns or our P&Ls are so much different because of this one device or these many devices, rather than saying, well, I give credit to, I've got a great team. Well, that's one thing. That's great. But do you know how many years that you've been battling all-nighters, paying all this money, finding the right developers, finding the right systems, working out all the kinks, looking in the mirror, stressed, depressed, anxious, all of that is finally to a point where you get a little bit of an acknowledgement from somebody that matters, that's seeing you for you and your work that you perform, you just going, thank you. It means a lot. And you know what? I'm going to share that with my team, right? Because, yeah, you might not be the one that actually put together, but you're the one that put together the vision 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And you're the one that's had to know every single thing, train every single thing, right? So instead of it being well, you're so nice, it's like, man, all the hard work pays off. Thank you for that comment. I'm going to share it with my team, and then you have that humble confidence to say, hey guys, I stand here today to tell you we knocked it out of the park. You should be proud. Well, instead of it being an ego boost, right, it should be a self-confidence boost. Say, now let's make that our standard. Right? You set a standard, you raise the standard, and then you uphold the standard. And as you continue to raise the standard and uphold it, that's when you become more confident and more obviously successful.
That's beautiful. No, I'm taking notes here. Cool. I've noticed in the last, I don't know, couple of years, maybe a year and a half, you've been really putting more of your experiences out there on social media now. Yeah. But when I first met you, you're kind of a little bit not a big social media guy, right?
Right. No.
But now you partnered with Jason, right?
Yeah.
You guys doing RV stuff, yeah.
Yep.
And you're out there. You're giving nice snippet messages for young entrepreneurs.
Thank you.
Out there. Is there an end means to that, or is it something you just want to develop and grow?
No, honestly, my social media is a couple years old. I've used LinkedIn for a number of years. Just being in the real estate field, you look for business owners and you message them, and I used that as a tool. But when COVID hit, I was locked in my house. Right? Everything was shut down. We were all remote. There was really nothing I could do. And I said I have two options. I can either get super creative and rebrand myself and come out with more creative things, or B, I can just take 6 months off like most of the commercial real estate brokers did.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot. Just were like, hey, it's a good business. I've made enough money. Like,
all real estate agents.
I'm just going to enjoy it.
We're just chilling out.
And I said, I'm going to pivot. I'm going to learn. And I started an Instagram, and I started to put out real estate content. And I realized after a couple months, maybe 5 or 6 months, and I was getting help from other social media people, I'm not getting the attraction. I really didn't care about like the likes and the shares and all that kind of stuff. I cared about the interaction with people who were saying, hey, that's dumb, or like, I'm so sick of people just putting like just leased or just sold, like I made this commission or this. I was like, how can I educate people and give them the confidence that they can trust me from being behind a screen?
I saw it.
Well, thank you.
When I know what I saw though, vulnerability with a solution.
Yeah.
So you'd be like, this happened, like this is what's going on, or if you're struggling with this emotional, but I just reading through them is like, here's how I dealt.
Well, and I got some advice from one of my social media, big influencers, and I was picking his brain about like, what can I do to create some more engagement?
Yeah.
And I love putting out there like, what can I do better? What do you guys want? I love when you ask questions like, right? You're just there as basically a tool for people to rely on.
Yeah.
Well, I stopped making my focus about real estate, and I started making my focus about me and my story.
Yeah.
Because real estate is what I do, but Ryan Flint is who I am. Ryan Flint has dealt with anxiety and depression and being a divorced son, and having my parents get divorced, and my deal with bad behaviors and depression and so on and so forth. And I thought, okay, how can I create people to see all the fun real estate things that I do, but they're going to trust me, and it's going to give me more acknowledgement, or I guess more integrity, if I just share my ups and downs. And if there's a solution, I'm going to share it. Because there's so many people, what I realized was when I shared like, hey, it's COVID, I'm struggling, I can't work out of home, I don't know what to do. Like, I want to know what you guys are doing because I want to serve you. How can I best help you? I just want to be real. And even though I'm having so much success in my life right now, I want to share with you about what I'm really feeling. And I started to get well, I'm feeling that too. What are you doing? And I was like, okay, this is really cool. So basically the takeaway that I got was, you can share real estate because that's what you do. That's how you make your living. That's what people know you for. Yeah. But Ryan Flint is who you are. Real estate isn't who you are. It's what you do for a living. I'm a husband. I'm a dad. I'm a friend. I'm an investor. I'm a business owner. I'm multiple different things. I'm an athlete, and I love fitness, and I love eating healthy, and I have the best friends in the whole world. Our little circle is amazing, right? We all love each other. Well, I started to share all that and be more vulnerable, like you said.
That's it, yeah.
And I didn't really care because I had so much inner confidence in myself that I didn't really care if I got negative feedback. It was like, hey, feedback's feedback. I can take it however I want to. Yeah. But I'm going to be positive. Yeah. And it started to blow up. And so now I can expand on that. And I just kind of follow my intuition. I mean, you're a lot the same.
Yeah.
You know?
Just try to share your experience, right?
Yeah. I mean, think about if you just shared nothing but laptops and PC laptops, right? You do so much more than PC laptops.
The most interesting subject has been my daughter's struggle from getting rejected out of the university because she didn't do good on her ACT or something, to trying to figure out what she wants to be. She's starting her little store, and I kind of been sharing that along on my page.
I love that.
You know, and her and I talking about how do you set up e-com and advertise and build cool stuff people want, and then, you know.
Well, then people reach out and say, "Hey, I do that for a living. How can I help?"
Yeah. The family journey.
Yeah. How can I support you? And it's been kind of fun because I feel like my relationships were good, but now my relationships are more real. Like I have true friends, and I share that all the time as kind of my tagline is go shopping with your friends, right? Because are you going to try on all these different outfits and get a real feedback from somebody that's just a stranger?
Yeah.
Like they'll probably tell you what you want to hear, but a real friend will say, "Hey Dan, that doesn't look very good. Like,
yeah.
Try that color. Oh, that looks really good." Well, now you know. Like I'm shooting you straight because I love you.
Is commercial real estate still your primary?
Absolutely.
That's the big one?
Oh, yeah.
You have investments and things,
oh, yeah.
but
yeah.
commercial real estate.
Yeah.
What's your crystal ball say for the rest of 23, maybe on 24 with this recessionary stuff, like for commercial real estate? What do you...
Honestly, the perspective that I have is I can't control anything that the government's going to do. I can't control where interest rates are going to go. I can't control anything like that. I don't know where inflation's going or lease rates are going, but what I can do is I control my relationships with others, and I can make sure that I'm staying in the know with my nose in on all the updates, all the education, continue to research so that I'm that access point for people, right? And it's the same thing like you do in all of your stuff with your fund and everything. Be the access point that people can rely on.
Oh, yeah.
And so if I don't know, I'm going to say, "Hey, I don't know." But you know what? I'm going to find out. Thanks for reaching out to me, and thank you for trusting me with that. And again, is we call it a pivot, but making sure that you're pivoting and not getting stuck. It's find a solution to every problem. And if you don't have the solution, be honest about it. Tell people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. But I think in commercial real estate there's more opportunities than ever before or in a long time, because I'm looking for opportunities. My mindset is I'm going to find opportunities. So a lot of times in commercial real estate, which is not like residential real estate, more buyers are, institutional, wealthier. There's a lot of cash deals, 1031 exchanges, getting creative in financing, SBA loans. There's all sorts of things that you can get creative with. Most times people just get stuck on interest rates are high, it's not a good time to buy. Well, you know what? If I can get you a property for 40 cents on the dollar or 60 cents on the dollar because that guy can't afford it anymore or he's paranoid or stressed, well, I'm going to go do everything I can to help that guy get out from his stress. But because I've been the access point to so many people like yourself that have cash, that can execute on a good deal, if I come to you and say, "Hey, 60 cents on the dollar, you're going to pay cash for this, we're going to write it out, we're going to upgrade the property as we need to, but you're getting cash flow, and in a couple of years when things reset, like you can refi it out, right? You can put a note on it and have cash out. You can sell it for a big profit, and you're finding a solution for both people, right? So it's not about what's the market, what do you dictate in the future. I only can control Ryan, and how much I'm educating myself, how much I'm putting myself into books and learning and asking questions and getting to know the market, and then telling people what they need to hear, not just what they want to hear.
Yeah.
Right. And so again, it's be the access point in what you're really good at.
Now is a good time because it seems like you said during COVID, a lot of real estate agents went on vacation.
For sure.
But during market volatility, a lot of residential and commercial agents are kind of like, I'm looking to do a different business, right?
They're panicking.
They're like,
panicking.
They're going to go work at Chili's or something, but it seems like the cream of the crop, people like yourself, thrive really well in comparison to a lot because you're out there hunting, right? You're out there helping.
Well, you're out there getting better. You're out there getting more creative. When COVID hit, everyone in the world thought our business is going to go down because you were hearing, "Hey, there's a new rule that there could be deferment on lease rate or lease payments," right? And so we're thinking, oh my gosh, all of our tenants are going to take advantage of that, take advantage of it. And all I thought was, okay, manufacturing is going to go up. A lot of my guys that were making cans are now making masks. A lot of my guys that were making, boxes are now making hand sanitizers. They're finding creative solutions. A lot of my restaurants were then going to a drive-through model.
Oh, yeah.
Why? Because you could service. And so it was like, okay, I'm going to reach out to those guys rather than sit back and wait for them to reach out to me and say, hey, what do we do? I was reaching out to them saying, I'm here.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I don't know what this all looks like. I've never been in a COVID situation or a pandemic, but we're going to work on it with each other. We're going to fight this storm together, go through it. And COVID 2020, 2021 was by far my very most successful year.
Yeah, me too.
As far as, income comes.
Yeah.
And I
Weird, huh?
Yeah. But again, I also, going back to it, being sitting on my couch in the basement, listening to, Trump talk about what was happening and everything was shutting down, I thought to myself, Ryan, you have two options. You can sit on the couch and put on Netflix and just chill, which I could have, or I can get really creative, up my customer service, raise my standard, and then go uphold a standard that no one's ever seen before in my space. And I said, that's the option that I'm going to do it. I don't have all the answers right now, but I'm going to put my team together. I'm going to put my heads together. I'm just going to start talking to people.
Nice.
And then get feedback of, hey, this is my struggle. This is where I'm hurting. This is where it hurts. And then again, like you go find a solution.
Yep.
Together.
That's what people need.
Yeah, it's that alignment.
So, being that real estate is your core, and you got a lot of other things, people want to hear what's going on. Where's the best place for everybody to find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Real Ryan Flint, or you can Google. There's always a way to find me. If I run my Instagram, so if you DM me, I will get in touch with you.
We were talking about some of the property that I own, and I'm like, I don't know, is now a good time to sell some? And you said there's a lot of people looking to do 1031s and things like that right now. So
there's a lot of money on the sidelines because the people that have been through this, back in 08 and in different recessions or slow times or inflation times, real estate goes like this, right?
Yeah.
Especially in the commercial space. And when when it's low, like right now, that's when you buy. And so it's connecting with those people that are in a position to execute.
Yes.
So what's the best way to get somebody's attention in my space? Bring them a deal.
Yeah.
Right? You bring them a deal.
Yeah.
And you get educated enough on that deal so you're not overselling it.
Yeah.
All you're doing is presenting an opportunity that's real.
Yeah.
Right? And then setting the expectation with the seller or whatever that, hey, this is the low. This is what I'm going to try to get. But if something comes in around here, I want you to really listen.
Yeah.
Right? Rather than everything be about greed.
Yeah, that's right.
And even in COVID and in these inflation and stuff, I've seen so much greed more than ever take over. Because it's like, okay, well, a year ago you would have taken this deal. But because, things are right here, you only want this and that's your only option. But yet a win-win for everybody is right here. Mm-hmm. You're way better off than you are now than you were 2 years ago when you were bitching and complaining saying you wanted this deal.
Exactly.
Right? And so a lot of that, Dan, is just educating.
Yeah.
It's being in connection, and I love that word so much, is connecting with people. Yeah. Right? It's not just about selling them or being friends. It's actually connecting, which creates alignment.
Wow. And
when that alignment is created, like the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. People will respect you and love you, and you just have to love back.
Excellent.
You just have to love back.
Dude, this is fire, dude. I love it. Guys, take notes on this. Ryan's a wealth of knowledge. And Instagram, it's
Real Ryan Flint.
Real Ryan Flint on Instagram.
Yep.
Dude, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate
Dan.
it. It's been phenomenal. We'll do some real estate deals.
For sure. I always love being with you.
Thank you. And guys and girls out there, this podcast actually is no charge to you. All that we ask you to do is that you execute what you learned and you share it with some friends so we can help other people out there that are looking for some help too. You've been watching Dansmillionairecode podcast with Ryan Flint. We'll see you guys soon.